You touched on ancestral patterning.
Hmm.
I don't know why that's a hard
Patterns.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah.
So, just real briefly, do you want to talk about that? Because it's really coming up a lot more with people who are
Yeah.
understanding that there really there are a lot of layers to the onion.
There are, and this is something I did not understand either when I first began my journey to my awakening. Um, an ancestral pattern is an agreement that has passed along your genetic line. So it could be your father's line, it could be your mother's line, and you have different lines on each grandparent side. And this is not something you're conscious of. It's something your soul agreed to as you incarnated into this DNA. So, but why it's significant is it affects your experience here. It affects your limitations here. It will possibly create roadblocks for you in your ability to manifest the things that you want in your life. So people will practice law of attraction. They'll practice manifestation techniques and they'll be like, it doesn't work. Well, there's two reasons it wouldn't work. Number one, you haven't cleared your energetic field of lower vibrations. You haven't done the healing. And the second reason is because there's possibly an ancestral pattern, an ancestral connection or agreement that you took that's blocking you there. So, an example of this is in my book, as I discovered my own ancestral pattern or commitment that I took to my father's line. My father was very abusive to me, not physically, emotionally, psychologically. He was very abusive to me. And I resented him for it. But I also knew I didn't deserve it. So instead of just staying in that environment, I walked away from it. And so the last 20 years my father was alive, we didn't speak. I didn't even know he had died. And I never understood why we couldn't get it together, why we never could, because I tried over and over and over to get a functional relationship with him, and he just could not do it. And what they showed me, ironically, you'll love this. This discovery came out of the fact that we have an RV that we travel in. And for a year, every time we went out on the RV, it would break down. And I'm like, okay, enough is enough. Like we were spending days on the side of the road trying to get mechanics out. It was just awful. And I said, why is this such a terrible experience? I went into meditation and I said, okay, show me what I need to know about this. Obviously, there's something here. And what I was told in meditation was that it traced back to my grandparents. And I went, what? Okay. So then I needed to do further research on this. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit deeper. I need a little help here. So I went in for a hypnosis session, a regressive hypnosis session. And what I discovered was that it was an ancestral pattern that involved me and my father, because ironically, my grandparents also were RV'd full time in their retirement. They are the only other people in our
Huh.
family that RV'd other than me. So I had this connection there. So this ancestral pattern was on my father's side that followed all the males on my father's side. Well, I'm not a male, but I was firstborn, and there were no boys in his. He didn't have any boys, so I agreed to take this on because I was the only one who could hold it. So I traced back, I don't know how many generations, and what I discovered in this hypnosis was that I originated this ancestral pattern by setting up a pattern of rage, a pattern of hurting other people. And I was shown three different lifetimes where the first one I experienced personal rage, where I just was killing people, robbing people way back when in the olden days. And then the next incarnation I visited was a little bit later than that, and I incited group rage, where families and were battling each other, and thousands of people died. And then the third incarnation I experienced, I was a girl, and I was violated by a family member, and then in that life I experienced unexpressed, deep personal rage because I couldn't speak my truth. I was violated and I couldn't express that. So I experienced 3 different types of rage, and so this rage followed the entire family line all the way down, and what I also learned was that because I'm the one who started the ancestral pattern, my father was a victim of my rage. And so then it traveled down the pattern, and most recently his father in this lifetime was incredibly physically abusive to him and emotionally abusive to him, which set up the pattern for him to be abusive to me. So, and I always felt like he didn't trust me. I always felt like he didn't want to love me. And that's what I was picking up on, was his resentment of me starting the pattern. So when I became aware of this pattern, it was a huge aha moment. And I realized I was not a victim. This was all my idea, right? And so when that aha moment came in, I could see my father appear before me, and this huge smile was on his face. And for the first time that I'm ever conscious of, we exchanged divine love, even though he'd already passed on. I had
Mhm.
this whoosh of love just encase me from him. And I was like, and I just heard him say, "You found it, you got it," you know. But what I learned was that I was charged with the role or the job of dissolving this pattern, because I was the only one who could hold the energy of it. And now is the first time we've had access to the technology to dissolve it.
Wow. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with wow on that, and wow. I'm just gonna go with wow, and when you say that, because there is a lot out there right now, and I'm seeing, a lot of people, just the term and the work and what it is more public and available, but there's a lot of people that are available to mentor people through and to do the
Yes.
work to fix that, and there's been a number of people who have said of more recent times with me, um, I'm here to stop this pattern. And even I've
Mhm.
had some conversations with my daughter who said, it's time for us. We have to do something to
Yeah.
work and fix this ancestral pattern that we have. And as
Yeah.
I'm listening to you speak, I'm like, perhaps we need to do a little more investigation into this pattern so that we truly can fix it, because I don't know that we truly understand it as I was listening to you speak. So
Yeah.
there's an awareness that it's out there and that it's something, and it's something that energetically the two of us have the ability to change forever, but
Mhm.
perhaps we don't understand the whole thing. So thank you for that. I'm going to say thank you very
Yeah.
much for that.
You're welcome.
I'll be
And that
looking
that
into that.
story is in the book too, so you can read all about it.
Okay.